Hello, Human Collective. Welcome to the Upside to Grief. My name is Story, and I am your host.
And my name is Erica, and I am your co host.
And this week we are welcoming on Melissa. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you.
Yes, we are so excited to have you. Melissa is a very, very special soul, and she's made quite the impact on me. I had the pleasure of meeting her last year, but also in other people's lives, and I can't wait for her to tell us about her beautiful boy and just everything that she's done with her grief. I feel like it's one of the things that we love about people. I think I say it almost every time.
Mm-hmm.
We love people who
Do things with their grief.
care enough to use that for something bigger than themselves.
Because it's difficult.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely.
Super difficult.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's just get into it, yeah? So, who are we going to be talking about today, Melissa?
My son Kulten.
Okay. Kulten. And go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say one of the first things that you said to me when you were sharing about Colton is you're like, oh, and the spelling's unique.
Yes.
So how do you spell Colton's
Yes,
name?
please spell it out.
So we spell it Kulten.
Yeah, Colton.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I like
It's
that.
not Colton.
Yeah.
No. Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like that's important.
Yeah.
It is. I mean, you chose it for a reason.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's a great kid. He was born on July 22nd of 2002. I was only 17.
Ah.
So I had him when I was young. And he's my best friend and taught me a lot about being a good mom. And he was very little when he was born, but then obviously as time goes on, he got to be way bigger than me. He topped out at 6'2" and like 220, 230 pounds.
Oh, yeah,
So
that's
he
big.
was my big boy.
Big baby boy.
We always called him man-child because he looked like a man, but he was still a child. So even like he had the kindest soul and heart. When he was in third grade, we had an issue at school where a kid said he was bullying him, and he wasn't. He had to like literally explain like, no, I do karate with you, remember? Like, and so at karate, he was like, it's me, Colton. Like, we go to school together. And so he was like, oh, I didn't even recognize. Like, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to get you in trouble. Because, like, he's so big. This kid at school, seeing him in a different atmosphere, was like, oh, wait a second. I don't know who you are. Like, you're in regular clothes. Like, I didn't even put it together. And so he was like, no, like, I'm your partner sometimes. And so that was like one of the things where I was like, oh, bud, you got to remember, like, sometimes you're a little intimidating because you are bigger than most kids your age. So he's always been our man child. Yeah, so he, he is just so special. From the time that he was born, though, he was an animal lover like me. Um, I used to work at Friends of Cats, and I would take the kittens home when they were needing to be bottle fed and stuff like that. And so he learned how to do that with me. Stray animals, animals that were loose, we'd wrangle them and find their owners. Him and my dad were best friends. So that was a very special thing that we had all together. Then when he was 5 years old, my husband got him into riding dirt bikes.
Mm-hmm. Of course.
Boys
and toys.
So he grew up very rough and strong and like rugged, and then it was, about 5.5. We had our daughter, I had my daughter Kylie. And he turned out to be the best big brother. Um, he's was super super great with her. Even he he broke his arm when he was almost 6, and
Dirt biking?
no, actually, being a boy, he dug a hole in our front yard, and I was taking care of Kylie, and I kept telling him, "Hey, buddy, like, the more you dig, the harder it's going to be to get out." And he's like, "I got this." So he put a bucket inside, and then he put a chair on top of it, and he jumped from the chair to get out. And when he did, he landed wrong on his arm, and I just heard this horrid scream, and I knew he broke his arm just from the scream. And then, so I'm like, holding a 3-month-old baby,
Oh no.
trying to like still figure out 2 children,
6-year-old boy jumping out of
Yes.
holes in the yard.
Yeah, so and then like he had a broken collarbone shortly after he got out of his cast for that. He was all boy.
All
boy. And the collarbone happened with our neighbor on our property. It was a 2-on-1, and had a Great Dane, and he saw Colton, and we had 5 acres, so we were at the back and she was at the front. He came running, and Colton thought he was going to go one way, but he didn't. He ran right into him, and when he hit the ground, the same scream, and so his collarbone was broken, and he's screaming and crying, and he just goes, "Is Clyde okay? Is Clyde okay?" And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, buddy, he's okay." Like, but he was concerned about him. The dog was like, "Are you okay, buddy?" And Colton was concerned about him, and I was like, "Oh my gosh." So I mean, he's also a boy, which is trouble. I mean, should have been his middle name, but yeah, I have so many stories of him, but one that, like, at that particular house, he climbed in a horse's stall at the neighbor's boarding facility because his ball had gone in there, and he knew that he was not supposed to do that.
How old was he?
He was 5.
Oh, dude.
Yeah, so I was pregnant.
From young.
I hadn't had Kylie yet, and I get a call from my neighbor freaking out, because the lady's freaking out because he literally climbed over hot wire and everything, got in the stall, and this horse is just chilling with him. But this horse supposedly was crazy,
Oh.
super, unpredictable and stuff. And Colton's just in there petting the horse. And she's like, "You need to get him out of here. That horse is dangerous." And I'm like, "Okay." And I'm just like, "Buddy, what are you doing?" He's like, "Mom, my ball got over here." I'm like, "What? What are we supposed to do when that happens?" He's like, "Well, I just didn't want to bother you." And I'm like, "I literally used the restroom. I was away for 2 seconds. Come on, bud." And he's just like, "I know, Mom, but he's really friendly." And the horse had no cares in the world. But I think it's just because he's so much like me. We're just very chill. We know animals. I think that this horse just was like, "You're good, bud. Like, no worries. I'm not." So we got him out,
Come on in, get your ball.
Yeah,
We can hang out for a little bit.
It wasn't a big
I
deal.
gotcha.
And I even asked him, I'm like, "Did you not get zapped by the hot wire?" He's like, "Yeah, Mom, but it didn't even hurt."
Oh my gosh.
I'm like, "Okay, all right," so.
Like, this is a sign.
Yeah, and then so then we moved to Ramona in 2011. He was in 3rd grade, and we started our life in Ramona, which was really, really. At first, I was nervous because I had grown up in Lakeside, and that's kind of where we were. We had lived in that house for 5 years, so I had brought Kylie home from there, and then I had a third daughter, our third child, second daughter, Kinley. So I'd brought them home there, and so it was like kind of like leaving, like
Yeah.
where I brought them
Yeah.
home and stuff.
For
But like,
sentimental stuff.
yeah,
Yeah.
but then moving there was like, okay, we're laying roots down somewhere. Like, we're not gonna move. Like, this is where we're gonna stay. And so it turned out to be great. We found a great church. The kids got involved. Colton was in youth group all the way up until he transitioned to be in the teens group, and then he was
Nice.
getting ready to go into like the adult. It's called young adults group. So basically, he started his own business when it was COVID. He would do landscaping and mowing lawns and stuff. And then he's always great with his hands and stuff. And so he started creating horseshoe artwork and would
Oh.
sell it. And part of that money he put away so that way he could get a car when he actually did turn 18. And so it was like this whole thing, like he was a very wise soul. Um, and just very loving. When I say my right hand man, like literally when it came to horse training, like he would help me just like my dad used to. So my dad and I used to co-train. I would get on the horse and my dad would be on the ground for the first time. So then I was the one on the ground and Colton would be the one on the
Oh.
horse. So it was like
Mm.
a family kind of thing. Very heavy into 4-H and FFA because that was my upbringing as well. So again, animals and just understanding, how to raise them and give them the best life, and also all the other things that go into it, leadership skills and things like that. But yeah, he pretty much just, I mean, a great kid all around, a kind soul. Would give his shirt off his back to anybody. Like, there's been so many times where he would be like at youth group, they would do beach trips, and he'd come home and be like, Mom, you'll be so proud of me. And I'm like, oh, will I? And it was kind of one of those like 50-50 questions, like,
Mhm.
what did you do? And so 90% of the time it was, hey, Mom, I sat and I spoke to this, gentleman who was down on his luck. I bought him a pizza or I bought him a burrito and I just talked to him. And I was like, good job, buddy. Like, so, just, um, he's, yeah, he's just an amazing person. And even though he's not here, like, he's still like, it's really weird because, um, he, he influenced so many people that even though it's going to be 5 year, or it was 5 years on Tuesday, um, people still message me, or like I'll have a conversation with somebody and they're like, oh my gosh, you're Colton's mom. And I'm like, I am. Like the fifty
Present.
For
fifty
why?
the 50-50 comes in again, like, is that a good thing or a bad thing? I'm like, it's still like nice to like, you know, hear stories and like things and stuff, and like
Mhm.
basically just still knowing that people think about him, like
Yeah.
he was very heavy into his school, and so he was a part of a construction program. And that program, the teacher, Mr. Jordan, just adored him because he was a working kid, and so we one of the things that we kind of have done since he's passed is we started an organization for him.
Mhm.
And so that's like one of the things that we give back to in his honor. So we help sponsor every year. We give a donation, and then like his 4-H, FFA, love, and then like other things like we'll just randomly buy food for people, because that was one thing that he would always do.
What is
So
4-HFAA?
so 4-H is a group when you're 18 and under that you can join, that you can learn how to raise an animal, you can learn like plants, you can learn how to do crafts and arts and just kind of be outdoor in an environment and just kind of learning the process of, you know, life and food and, how to
Mhm.
how to be self-sufficient if you want to. And then FFA is Future Farmers of America,
Okay.
and basically like it's the same concept of 4-H, but it's mainly like adding leadership. Like
Mhm.
they really, want to teach you like how to speak in public, how to
Yeah.
be a leader, how to guide conversations.
Gotcha.
Cuz like some people think that, if they're going to eat a steak, that steak came from the grocery store. And sometimes you're like, well, no, that's not. Or like, that plant that you're eating didn't just, come from the grocery store.
Yeah.
That actually was raised in a garden and with this process, so it's like it's very informative. So it's nice to have, and it kind of helps you form, I feel like, yourself as a person. Like you get to
Mm-hmm.
kind of have more worldly information.
Yeah.
So yeah, so all my kids have been active in FFA and 4-H, and um, that's just kind of like, because that's how I was.
Sounds like a great thing to be a
So
part of,
I
honestly.
That
just,
sounds really cool.
Yeah.
yeah, so it's a lot of goodness out of it, and I think that's also what helped form him into being such a good person too, is because you have to learn kindness and care and compassion, and you have to, you have to be strong, because the part of what we did in 4-H and FFAs, they raise animals, and
Mm-hmm.
so you feed them and you care for them and you teach them how to drive in a showing setting and stuff, and then you take them to auction, and some people buy them for food, some people buy them for pets, but being able to be like, okay, I gave you everything I could, and now I'm going to give you to your next step, and some people don't understand it, and just because lifestyles are different sometimes, and
Mm-hmm.
Right.
things, but um he always had a way with just like, even like, under like, for him to understand, to be able to tell someone like, hey, I totally respect your view, but like, if you'd like to, you can come to my home and I'll show you the pen, I'll show you the food, I'll show you the, like, you can test the water, like, like, he would come across and be like, look, I'm giving them the best, and I was always like, gosh, I love that, like, like, are you sure you're my kid, like, this is great, so and then, he just like, his sisters, he was amazing with them most of the time. It's, of course,
Big
sibling
brother.
stuff,
Yeah.
but they were very heavy into softball, and so he then was at the fields a lot. So he started grooming the fields and chalking the lines and getting
Wow.
the getting things ready. They do Friday night lights sometimes, so he'd get the sound system ready. He would, work the snack bar, and so very heavy in our community, and just
Yeah.
different ways.
Yeah. Did he do sports at all?
So he did. He started with soccer, but then he broke his collarbone, so he had to stop that.
Again?
Wait, again, or
No, no,
just
no.
the first time?
That was the first time.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes. So he had the
How
broken
many bones did he break?
So he's had two broken arms and a broken collarbone. And that was it. That was when he was younger. So that was, I think he got it done while he was young and crazy,
Okay.
like super young
Cut
and
that out.
crazy. And then he played baseball for a season, and he was like, "This is not for me.
Yeah.
I'm this boring." He's like a mover and a shaker.
Mm.
And then he did karate. He got
Yeah.
to
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yep.
a second degree black belt,
Wow.
and then he decided freshman year, I want to do football, because, like, he's a big kid.
Right.
So he did football, and then he always has been riding horses in between all that time, and so his football, he wound up getting a really bad concussion. And after that, he is like, I'm good. I don't think football's for me, because it took him out of riding his horse. It took him out of roping
Wow.
lessons. It took him,
Football's rough, man.
yeah. And so then after that, he just kind of dove into riding horses and FFA, and just, doing the horseshoe artwork, and just kind of like that kind of stuff.
He sounds so cool, artistic, compassionate. All of his love for animals, also super smart. He just sounds so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, he's awesome. And I think that that's what's so hard sometimes, like, he's still here so much. It's just in a different way, is what I always say.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, he's here, it's just in a different way. And like, for example, every since his passing, um whenever he shows up, it'll be in like a heart, like, it'll be, hearts are
Mm.
his thing. And I feel it started before he passed, because when he was in 8th grade, he came to the car, and he was about to lose his ever loving mind, because this kid in his locker room gave him a heart rock, and he goes, Mom, I cannot take this heart rock, this kid gave it to me, so I'm giving it to you, because I don't want him thinking I'm gay. And I'm like, okay, buddy, like, calm down. It's okay. And he's like, no, mom, you don't understand. Like, he was like, here's the, and it was a perfect heart rock. And so through the years,
Mhm.
from eighth grade on, like, he would make like a little heart. And I would always be like, this almost looks like butt cheeks. Like, can you, we would joke about it
Yeah.
and stuff like on a card or something. And so then uh, he got into the artwork with the horseshoes, and so for Valentine's Day he made a heart out of horseshoes, and
Whoa.
so I'm just like,
Hmm.
okay, buddy, like, and so after he passed, like that's literally like, and it's crazy to me how I'll just be like, buddy, I'm really struggling, like I need help, I don't know what to do, and I'll just walk down to go feed the animals. And I've literally walked that path a million times now, but there'll be a perfectly shaped heart rock. And I'm just like, oh my God, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I remember in the beginning, um, when that started happening, I was like, no, no. If I acknowledge it, it means it happened. And
Hmm.
this did not happen. I'm still in a dream, and I'm going to wake up at any moment. At any moment, I will wake up and I'm just going to be like, Melissa, what were you thinking? Like, and
Hmm.
then here I am 5 years later, and I'm still like, okay, well, this is not a dream. This is my life. And I thank you for all the hot rocks. Like,
Yeah.
literally, like, just this week we went on a trip for him, and we go to our camping spot, and no joke, there's a humongous heart rock at our campsite, and I'm just like, oh my God. And even my husband was like, well, babe, he's definitely here.
Yep, he
Yeah.
approves of the
Like,
spot.
like,
Yeah.
okay, or like I'll snap a picture and I won't look at it right away. I'll just take it and then I'll just keep doing what I'm doing. And later when I go back, I'll be like, oh my gosh, thank you, buddy. Thank you.
Hmm.
So it's hard, but it's also like, I'll take it kind
Yep.
of a thing.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So,
Um, do you want to kind of walk us through what happened?
so on April 21st, 2021, I thought it was a normal day. Colton went to work, and then I had text him to bring me a couple things from the grocery store before he came by, because he was going to take a shower and then go on a date and hang out with his friends.
Mm.
And so I was like, hey, real quick, can you grab me this? And so he did, and he dropped it off, and then he was running a little behind, so he didn't really have time for a shower, so he just freshened up and said his goodbyes to us all, and we just kind of, like, because he's older, so we were like joking around, and we're like, hey, just make sure you're safe. And I did like the mom talk, and
Yeah.
my husband did the dad talk,
Hmm.
like, we made it this far. You graduated high school, like, you're 18, like, let's just wait a little bit. Don't be like me and your mom, but he left, and we went about our night because we have the girls still, and we had dinner together, and then we got in the shower. I had missed a phone call from his best friend, and in the past, like, these guys would call me and be like, hey, we ran out of gas, or we have a flat tire. And so I called him back, and I'm like, what's up, guys? Like, what did you lose now, or what did you forget? Do you need AAA? And he was just like beside himself. And I'm like, what's wrong? Like, what's wrong? And he was like, Melissa, I don't want to tell you this. I don't know how to tell you this. And I'm like, what's wrong? And I like lost it for a second, because I knew something was horribly wrong. And he said Colton wrapped his truck around a telephone pole and he's dead. And I just remember screaming and running to my bedroom and yelling, and my husband opened the door from the shower, and I said, Zach's on the phone. He says Colton's dead. Oh my God, I don't know what to do. And then I just passed out. I hit the floor, and I woke up to my daughters like smacking me on the face. Mom, mom, like mom, mom. And um and then I was like, oh my God. And I started screaming again because I just panicked, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
then I just passed out again. And then I woke up again to them smacking me around. And then I was like, okay, we know nothing. We know nothing. Like, we know nothing. So they helped me up. I I put clothes on, and then I walked out to try to find my husband, and my husband had called my brother. Um, in the meantime, I don't even know how long it was. It felt like an eternity, but I think it was only a couple minutes. Called my brother, and my brother was on his way to come, and then we started just like, okay, we knew that he was with his friends, and so we were like, okay, so we called Zach back, and he couldn't really give us much information. And then we tried to talk to police officers, and they wouldn't talk to us because they didn't know if we were actually the parents or anything. They couldn't disclose anything really because it was a crime scene
Mhm.
kind of a thing. And so I was like, this isn't happening. Like, we need to call hospitals. So we started calling hospitals. My brother drove from Alpine to Ramona, and picked us up because we got in a location. So we drove down there, and I remember just praying and praying and praying that he would just be broken. So every bone in his body would be broken, but at least he'd still be alive. Um, but then we got to the SeaWorld Drive exit, and they had it closed, and my heart just sank because I knew that he was gone. Um, and my brother and my husband get out of the truck, and they go to the officer, and I can hear him say, "I'm sorry, but we're gonna have to take you to the Unity spot." And I, just because my line of work that I do, I knew that that meant that there's been a death. So, um, I just said, I don't want to go. Just take me home. Please just take me home. And they wouldn't take me home. So, um, we went to the Unity spot, and then as we're driving up, there's just all of the youth kids and their parents, and um, I just remember all of them trying to come to me to comfort me, and I just was like, get away from me. Like, this is not happening. Like, just leave me alone. And so, we had to sit in the truck for a few minutes, and then, a deputy came over and just basically said, we're looking for Melissa and Ian Sargent. And we said that we're here. And, he just said, I regret to inform you that your son is deceased. I just remember hitting the ground screaming. Like, I just, I've never felt that much pain in my life. Because as a mom, like, that's your worst fear, is losing a child. And I never thought that I would lose a child. I never thought, like, that would be, in my cards, my deck, or whatever. Um, so then I don't even remember from that point forward really a whole lot, just because I was, I think, just in so much shock, like, just,
Mhm.
I just couldn't believe it. Like, um, I got to the truck somehow, and then, I just remember them saying, "Oh, we're gonna have a person come over from the uh, like the
Tip.
yeah," and I was like, "I don't need them. I know how this works. I'm good. Like, thank you. I appreciate it, but I'm okay." And then I said, we need to call George. And George is our very good family friend, who works in um, that industry. And so we called him at 1 o'clock in the morning and told him that Colton had died. And he was beside himself as well because he's known Colton since he was like 8 years old, I think. And so basically, he took care of everything. He got in touch with the medical examiner's office. He literally took care of everything for me because I I don't think I would have been able to do as well with that process knowing that it was just somebody else taking care of him. Um, and then we went home and uh, I had to tell my daughters because my daughters were at home with my best friend waiting. And I remember walking in through the garage and she's like, "Oh, what hospital is he at? He's okay." And I was just like, "No, no, he's not okay. He's gone." And my daughters were like, "What? What?" Like, and they were 12 and 14 when this happened. So, um that was really really hard, and I just sobbed and sobbed and sobbed, and then we all laid in the living room. And then we started getting calls from the medical examiner's office, because he had a passenger, and we didn't know that. I knew that he was going on a date, also meeting his friends, and so his passenger had passed away too, and so it was really really hard as well because I just was like, oh my gosh, now like another mom and a family is feeling the same way that I feel, and this is horrible. Like, oh my gosh, and then like I knew I knew that he was going out with and stuff, so we gave that information and everything, and then then it was like morning time, and I had some horses in training, so I had to call and have them get picked up because there was like
No way.
no way I could do anything.
Yeah.
So I had called my friend that had him there, and just telling her, like, I was like, there's no way I can do this. I can't call my mom. I can't do this. Like, so, um, then I called my brother who had come that night, and his wife had come too. And I'm like, I'm sorry. You have to call mom. I can't do it. I cannot do this. So he called my mom, and um my mom then called everybody else and stuff, and but like literally by 8:30 that morning, we just had our church family, my husband's work, my different work, folks that I work with coming, like just it was just a flood of support, which was beautiful, but it was also like, this is not fucking happening. Like, like by 24 hours, my house looked like a florist. And I was like,
What the fuck?
yeah, I'm like,
Ugh.
who sends flowers like this? Like, this is stupid. I just remember every time somebody would come, it was just like I was in a fog and just like, I'm gonna wake up any moment. Like, this is a dream. It's not. This isn't real. This is like, for some reason I need to be taught something. Like, there's a lesson out of this. Like, something, like, I'm gonna wake up. Like maybe I took too much of my heart medicine and I just forgot. Like like this is not my life anymore. But then as each day went on, and like I kind of was just like having to like answer questions, like, you know, well, when do you want to do a service, or like things like that. And it's just like, this is not okay. Like, I don't even, I can't even talk about this right now, like, because I'm just crying and crying and crying, and like, okay, well, we need to go see him. And so it was just like a lot of stuff. in a short period of time, you know, and
Yeah.
um like when we did go and view him, um it was it was horrible. And I'm very I'm very glad that I didn't let my daughters view him, because I wouldn't want them to have that memory um of their brother, because basically the accident, he passed at impact. And so you know, you could
Yeah.
visibly see he had a fractured skull and stuff. And um so but there's a part of me that, like, when I saw him, I was just like, this is all that's left of you. Like, this is all, like, just this cold body now. And like, that was really when my brain, I don't know why, but just kind of like, he was just gone from everything. It was like I never even had him. It was weird. Like, all of my memories, it was like he was just ripped like a picture. Like, he was just ripped out of him. And so I I couldn't talk about a lot of his service or anything for like a few weeks. So when people were asking me, like, are you gonna have a service or anything like that, I'm like, I have no idea. Like, I can't do this right now.
Yeah.
So then um you know, my husband went back to work the next week, and my girls wanted to go back to school, and I was in no place to start working with clients again or anything like that. And so I spent like the first 10 days just in my living room on the floor. I couldn't eat, I couldn't drink anything really, because all the food that was coming was from people trying to support. And I was just like in my head again, if I eat this, then I'm accepting what has happened and why this
Mm.
food is here. And I'm not doing that. Like, absolutely not doing that. Um, and then finally, like around the tissue, around the 10th day, my daughters were like, please, mom, will you eat something? Like, we need you still. And that was like a hard hit for me, because, like, um, I didn't want them to think that their brother was the most important thing to me. And, like, I don't want them ever to think that. So, that was kind of the point where I was like, okay, Melissa, you got to get your shit together. Like, you still have your daughters, still have your husband. Let's figure this out. Let's kind of like, so I started to eat a little bit. I started to try to like figure out like basic things, cuz my friends and my family, my sister-in-law were coming and cleaning my house and like doing things, and I'm just like watching them, and I'm just like crying even more, because it's like that you wouldn't be here if this didn't happen. Like, this is not okay. So it took a lot, like it's a lot that goes on, like when something so hard happens all of a sudden, you know, you're just like, oh my gosh, like this is my life now. And I don't know what to do. There's no like, yeah, like there's, yes, let's plan a memorial or let's plan a celebration of life. Like, there's help in that manner, but there's no help with like processing the feelings that you've never learned how to feel,
Yeah.
or you even know what they mean. Like, I literally would walk around in my house like, I don't know what to do. Like, I know I need to do something, but I don't know what to do. And it's just like a zombie. And then, like, I would just be crying. And I would, you know, like, my husband would come home and he's like, you know, how was it today? And I'm like, I just cried all day. I didn't do laundry. I didn't do anything, you know? And so it was like kind of like a hard thing. And, you know, men grieve different than women. And so it's like, you know, there's like, here I am, this emotional, just talking about everything about him. And then my husband was kind of more reserved and not speaking about it too much. So it was like,
Mm.
I'm just like, what are you doing? Like, you know, so there's those kinds of things. And then my girls, like, I was just like, I can't let them, you know, fall into a hole either. I have to make sure I'm still present. So then it kind of like, okay, guys, we need to talk about this. Let's, you know, do we want to do a celebration of life, and where do we want to do it? How do we want to do it? So I try to like pull everybody into helping do it, like kind of as if it was a birthday party, you know. And so we had a lot of help and support, and we had it at our church, which is was fitting because we're all, you know, very active with our church, and especially my kids were. So that was really nice. And then yeah, we just kind of from that point forward was, you know, my view has always been we're gonna live with him and for him. It's just in a different way. You know, all of his friends that were there, it was really really hard because he has like four core best friends, and the one that called me, um, he I met him because he got in trouble when he was 14 for having weed at school. So he had to come and do community service at our nonprofit.
Mm.
And so then him and Kulten became friends. And so that's how they had their friendship, because I was like, hey, buddy, I need you to come out. Like, he goes to your school. You know,
Yeah.
like, can you be friendly with him? You know, let's show him the right path. um, and then his other friends were from youth group as well and stuff. And so, but there was a group of 10 that saw the whole accident. They were all following behind him.
Oh,
And so,
shit.
yeah, it was very community, you know. And so now we're 5 years. Most of them are doing really well. They've had hiccups and stuff because losing him was their first real
Yeah.
loss in a capacity like that. So they're still very much a part of our lives, which is really great. Their families are too, and stuff. So it's it's been like what I always say is it's bittersweet. You know, I love that they're here, but I wish my son was here.
Yeah.
You know, I wish it was him doing those things with his sisters, and I'm appreciative that their friends step up, you know, and they're there for them,
Yeah.
and they're there for us, but it's not the same, and it's never going to be the same.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And you said you said it's a nonprofit now? Or what is it that you
Yeah.
have now today?
So we started a organization for him. It's called Kulten for a Cause.
Okay.
And what we do is basically enhance the lives of others through giving in his honor. So we every year adopt a couple moms at our local pregnancy care clinic, and we buy gifts that they would like and donate to them. We do Montecito High School construction program. We do FFA 4-H stuff. We at the fairs. So there's a Ramona Fair and a Lakeside Fair. We
Mm-hmm.
sponsor the pig portion usually, some of the awards and stuff, because that's what he showed.
I was about to say, like, was there something specific with pigs?
Yeah.
So he showed pigs.
Yeah, so he showed pigs.
Cool.
And so like I said, you know, we'll buy Starbucks for somebody, or like food or something, you know. And then we have like these little cards. So when we do that, it's like a humble and kind card.
Mm-hmm.
And so we'll give that, you know, to the drive-through person or something, and say, can you just give this to the next person behind us, so they can like pass it on and stuff. And then we do a couple different fundraisers every year to raise the money, but like the bulk of the money that we started his foundation with came because my mother-in-law got Gerber Life for all of her grandkids when they're born, and so he had a Gerber Life policy. So that money we used, as well as we had additional life insurance through Modern Woodman. And both of them was the intention of, you know, when they reach 18, we can use it towards college, or if they're not going to go to college, when they're 21, you know, we'll make it into an adult policy. They'll be like, you know, better than what I was at that age. You know, I
Right.
didn't have life insurance until
Yeah.
I was like almost 30.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
only got life insurance last year.
Yeah,
I
so
I just got it and lost it, so I'm not covered.
That's wild.
So that's where the bulk of the money came from.
Yeah.
To like, so in the beginning, we gave like 5,000 to church, 5,000 to his construction program, here, it kind of, and then the Ramona girls softball, they dedicated the snack shack to him. So he has his own little plaque up there and stuff. So that was really sweet and special. And stuff. So yeah, it's really, again, it's one of those bittersweet things because it's like, I've met other parents that have lost children, and they're like, oh yeah, we did it for the first 5 years, the first 10 years, but then after that, we kind of stopped doing it because it's like, it's really hard to just keep doing it, and keep reliving it, and I'm just like, oh, that's like, to me, I'm like, oh, that's interesting and a little different because, I mean, the way I look at my children is I'm going to have them till the day I die, so I'm going to,
Yeah.
so for me, it's like, I'm just going to keep doing
Yeah, that
this
doesn't
and,
change for Colton.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm just going to keep doing this and, not that I'm judging them, but it's like just interesting information like, oh, okay,
Right.
like you stopped after 5 years or 10 years. And I mean, I guess I understand it. Like, as you, are longer on the journey and you age as well, things and priorities change. I understand. So, but for me, it's something I'm going to do for probably ever.
Yeah. I love that. And I also appreciate that you said, like, there's no judgment there. It's just
Mm-mm.
interesting information.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody does grief differently. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. That
who
is.
are we to say if it's right or wrong?
Hmm.
Just gotta do what feels right for you and your person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all we can do, right?
Well, and that's the thing is, like, in the beginning, I had friends come to me that have lost children in the past, and they're like, you will not do this. This is what I did, and you will not do this. One lost her daughter, and she tried to overdose on alcohol, and she was in a coma, and like she had three other children still and her husband, and she's like, you will not do that. And then I had another one that was like, I wound up just being so cruel and mean to my husband
Mm.
that we wound up getting a divorce because he couldn't be with me anymore. And I knew it was me. I knew what I was doing, but I couldn't not do it because I had to like just be mad at somebody, and
Yeah.
so that cost me my marriage. And I'm just like,
And you will
okay.
not do that.
Yeah,
You
and
will
I
not
I
do
was
that.
like,
I thought you were going a whole different
okay.
direction when you started
Oh.
off with saying, like, you will not do this. But, like,
Uh,
these are good friends.
Yeah.
You will not do
Yeah,
this.
and I was like, okay, like, oh, all right, like, so like for me, like, I've never been a drinker. I've never been into drugs. I've like, I'm like, my husband calls me plain Jane, like,
mm.
I'm just easygoing and stuff. So I was like, well, I won't do any of that stuff. I appreciate you telling me everything. Like, I won't do any of that. But like, what I wanted to do was I wanted just to give up everything. I wanted to. So before this, I had started a nonprofit called Heart and Hooves Therapy.
Heart and hooves.
Mm-hmm.
And so what we do is animal assisted therapy and activities with farm animals. So we have miniature horses and pigs and chickens and goats and stuff. So we see kids in the special needs community. We go to the hospitals and all kinds of stuff. And so when this had happened, I was like, get rid of all the animals. Like, I'm done. I'm never like, how am I supposed to make somebody else happy when I'm never going to be happy again a day in my life? Like, I literally lost a piece of my heart and my soul. Like, I'm never gonna, there's no way. How, so like, I was like set on like, this is the end of that. Like, I'm just gonna be home all the time now with nothing because I've lost, my son. And so thankfully, nobody listened around me.
They were
I
like,
had
nope.
I had like
Nice try.
amazing volunteers come in that were already a part of our organization and stuff. They came in and helped take care of the animals and all that kind of stuff. And then I had friends that literally were with me around the clock while my husband was at work, like just popping in here and there and stuff just to make sure I was somewhat okay. Um, and then like as time got on, I was probably around like the fifth or sixth month after he had passed, and my husband and I were talking, and he had made a comment to me, and he's like, well, I've just been doing what I was doing before this happened. And for me, I was like, okay, like I can see now how you're getting through better each day because you're not focusing on our son died every single day. You're focusing on, okay, I have to go to work to provide for my family. And so I was like, okay. So I had taken that and I was like, okay, I'm going to try to do that. So I started with, okay, Monday is usually the day I wash towels. Tuesday's like I kind of went back to like my schedule.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna go out with the animals. Like, even though it was heartbreaking because our home has so much of Colton around it. Our
Mm-hmm.
animals are like the first time I went out to see our animals was like 7 weeks after. And my horse, which was his horse too, literally took his head and shoved me into him and just as I'm sobbing, hugged me.
Oh.
Like they all knew something horrific had happened because I wasn't there and he wasn't there. It was just volunteers and the girls and
Yeah.
like something. So it was very hard, getting back out there and doing it and stuff. And then when I went, I was 8 months along. Another retreat had come up through another organization.
Mm-hmm.
And so my husband and I were going to go to that, but then he pied out last minute because he's like, I can't do that. Like, I'm sorry. So I'm like, all right. So I took a local mom that a couple people had said, hey, do you know this person? And I was like, I don't really, but our boys knew each other, so I'll reach out. And she was like, yeah, I want to go. I need to go. So we drove 6 hours in a car together, slept in a hotel together, did this retreat, learned a lot of other things. For me, I learned how the man processes things when it comes to like losing a child in grief. Um, and then how like a woman is, like we're more like spaghetti noodles, you know. We're kind of all over the place, and
Uh-huh.
and men are more like let's shelf it. So I'm gonna shelf it, and when I need to deal with it, I will. Us, we're it's always, like
We're gonna incorporate that shit into our
yeah,
every part of life.
it's
Spaghetti
everything
sauce will be everywhere.
exactly. And so, you know, that was like very valuable for me with my marriage because
Yeah.
that was always something too from the beginning. Like, I'm like, we will not be a statistic. Like, we're not getting divorced. Like,
Mhm.
this is not going to tear us apart. But I can tell you there's been moments where I'm like, I'm done. Like, I do not have the energy for this. I'm barely doing me and my two daughters. Like, I don't emotionally have this in me anymore. But then we come back around and it's like, babe, I need you to just give me space and understand like this is what's going on with me, or this is what I'm dealing with the girls. Like, cuz he doesn't even process it the same way that I do, They'll come to
Mhm.
me with something and say, "Hey mom, like this is how I'm feeling." And I'm like, "Oh my god, like I didn't even think about like I'm so sorry, like, I'm glad you came to me and told me this." Like around graduation time last year for my daughter Kylie, she's like, "Mom, I just can't believe like I've gone through my whole high school without my brother. Like this is not okay. Like he should be here." And I'm like, I know, sweetie, like he should be here." And I go, you know, what is it that you want to do when you walk? You like, do you want to have a picture of him with you? Do you want to wear? We all have like a little necklace that has him in him. So like mine's a turtle because I love turtles.
Mhm.
So I have him in mine, and they all got to pick theirs. I'm like, do you want your special necklace with your brother in it?
Yeah.
So like we come up with a plan to try to include him.
Mhm.
And so like some of his friends came and did the air horns and all the
Aw.
naughty stuff you're not supposed to do.
Yeah.
The
Um,
good
It sounds
stuff.
like Colton would have probably done that.
oh
Uh-huh.
yes.
He would have broken all the rules, made a
And
ruckus.
then the principal would not allow her to walk with a picture of him.
What?
Yeah. So in all totally his style and fashion, um, his best friend, as she was walking up, she gave her name to the person saying her name. He gave her the picture of Colton. it's his graduation picture. So she had a big frame of him as she went got her diploma. So she wound up walking with him even though she was told not that she couldn't.
Oh my gosh, I got chills.
So, you know, it's like things like that. Like it's constant. And then also like, um, Kylie got engaged
Really?
last year, and then she
My
got
goodness.
married.
Oh,
So she got engaged in August. She got married in September, and it was like all those things. Like for me, it was hard.
congratulations.
It was hard for me to process, and then to have her feelings, you know, of like, you know, and again, it was like, okay, well, what would you like to do to have him there?
Yeah.
You know, like, and so she was like, Mom, this is what I want. I want him to be sitting with us as a family. I want his picture there. I want a boutonniere for him. Like, you know, like I want him involved. And I'm like, okay. And, you know, so it's like things like that, you know, like my other daughter, she's going to be graduating next year. And she brought to my attention last week that she is very scared to go away to college because what if something happens to her and I can't say goodbye to her? And I'm just like, you shouldn't have those. You shouldn't have those fears or those thoughts, you know? And so then me as a mom, I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
just when I think we can all breathe for a second, I'm like, sweetie, okay, let's break it down. Like, we're all going to die when it's our time. Remember that. Like, and that's why we want to have good relationships with the people that we love the most. So I'm going to come visit you wherever you wind up going to college at as much as I can. And so is dad. You know, so like let's think about like that the more upbeat side of things versus like, you know, the what ifs.
Yeah.
Because yes, we've lived it. We know that something horrible can happen. But if we just spend our whole life worried about that, you're never going to live.
Yeah.
And your brother does not want that. And you know, so it's things like that. It's just like, oh my gosh, you know, like if I could have set myself up for any of this, I would have, but I've had no prep. So when I
How could
hear
you?
when I hear the things, you know, I'm just like, ooh, God, like, okay, or you know, like when I'm having a bad day, I'll tell my girls, you guys, I'm having a bad day. I do not need any drama between you two. Please.
Yeah.
Like, just get along for
Not
me
today.
Yeah, just for
Just
today.
today.
Please.
Because again, you know, siblings lose uh, differently. Their loss is different.
Yeah.
You know, like I feel like I lost a piece of my heart and my soul. I can't even formulate sometimes the way that I feel because I don't even think there's a word for it. You know, it's just soul crushing. For them, it is, but just in a different way. You know,
Yeah.
it's different for them. So I always try to not make it, you know, so like, oh my gosh, like this is I'm feeling this way and you should be feeling this way too. In the beginning, I know I did that. I know I was just like, what is wrong with you guys? Like your brother died and why are you guys fighting and talking to each other this way? And it was just like, oh, Melissa, you have to go back. Like you have to understand, like they're siblings still. They're literally 18 months apart. They're going to, you know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
have, you know, the bickering and stuff. You know, so it's just things like that where it's like, okay, even after 5 years, there's still such an emotional heartache, and it's gonna be like that forever.
Yeah.
And just being able to try and say something that's productive instead of not productive with them, because it's always tricky. But
Yeah. Being able to find the literacy to best support them in their own process sounds like it's been very enlightening for you too, though. It's definitely one of those things you never want to have to do as a mom, but
yeah,
they're definitely lucky to have you be that present with them. And I love that involving Kulten and everything.
Yeah.
I know I turned into a helicopter mom, like hardcore after.
Mm.
Like, Mom, I was invited
I'm sure
to this
there's that
birthday.
layer.
I was invited to this birthday.
Can anybody blame you? No.
You know,
absolutely
I'm
not.
just like, sorry, you cannot ride in a car with someone I don't
You
know.
are never allowed to be in a car ever again.
Like,
Actually,
you
just
know,
don't leave the house.
yeah, you know, it was just like, and I understand that, and I tell them, you know, periodically, like, I'm sorry, but like you have to understand, like our life and our family dynamic is very different than, you know, your friends. So I know it's frustrating. I know it's irritating, but this is
Hmm.
the way it is. If you want to do it, then this is how it's going to go down.
Yeah.
And they learned to understand that. So like the first 3 years were a little rough, you know, cuz like of course they're teenagers too.
Right.
So
Yeah.
like, come on, mom,
They're
just let
like,
me go. Like I want to hang out. Like it's no big deal. You don't know what's going to go down there. Like, you know, I was doing that. Like,
Yeah.
you know
hmm.
what? I don't know this person. I'm not comfortable. I'm sorry, not happening. But now I feel like I'm not quite so like, oh, okay, you know, I try to, okay, like it is what it is. You know, just know that I love you and be smart and be safe and,
Mm.
you
Make
know,
good
try,
choices.
yeah, you know, try to do that, you know, as much as I can and stuff because, like, I was telling my daughter the other day, like, we're all going to die at some point. It's
Hmm.
just when we don't know.
Yep.
And I mean, that's all that I could tell her at that moment because it's just like, I don't want you to lose out on life
Yeah.
because you're so focused on dying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like me saying goodbye to you and dad saying goodbye to you, like let's not focus on that. Let's,
Yeah.
you know, focus on now and this is what we're doing and let's make sure we have good relationships with the people we love
I like
and
that.
Yeah.
you know,
Absolutely.
like but yeah, it's, you know, I mean, and I know for them too, they get on themselves because they are not doing like typical teen stuff. Like my
Yeah.
my daughter Kylie, she waited to drive pretty much all the way till she was 18 because it was a fear. Same thing with my daughter Kinley. She just started driving now, got her permit and she's 17 and it's the same thing. She's like, I don't know if I ever want to drive, mom. Like she'll drive around town and she's just like, oh, you know,
Yeah.
and I'm like, sweetie, I understand. You know, dad said we can be your Uber for life. We'll just find a plan, you know, like,
Yeah. We'll adapt.
but ideally, at some point, if you're going to have children in the future, you probably are going to want to drive
You
them to
might want to be
doctor's
able to drive.
appointments and
Yeah.
stuff. So, yeah. So, but it's like things like that, you know, like
Yeah.
they're not doing typical teen
Yeah.
stuff, you
There's
know,
there's
like
little
they're,
shifts there that you wouldn't
yeah.
really think to expect, but
Right.
yeah.
Because with Colton, it was like 15 and a half, boom, boom. Like, you know, like it was just like how it was with me when I was a teen. I was like, yes, I can get my permit, going and doing
Done.
it.
So
Like
done.
driving,
Yesterday.
you know, like it was great. But my girls, unfortunately, they didn't get to have that because of their
Yeah.
own fears of driving and just, you know, their brother died in a car accident and just, you know, all of those
Yeah.
things. And, you know, and they're older now too. So like back when this had happened, it was all over the news and stuff. And so we didn't watch the news. We didn't like do any news stuff. Well, they both looked at the news reports. And so they like, you know, like they've learned more than what they should have, you know, being that age, and stuff. But at the same time, it's like everyone's given something in their life that they have to work through and
Hmm.
work with. And for some reason, this is what they have and I have and my husband has and everybody that loves Colton and you know, so it's just it's different for all of us. I feel like, but we all have that same thing in common. It's him. We
Yeah.
just we miss him and his kind soul. I mean, he could be ornery, but you know, at the end of the day, a good threat from his mom of like, if you do not straighten up, this is what's gonna happen. And he was just like, okay, fine, you know, like, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
Thank you
Yeah.
so much for sharing Colton with us.
Yeah.
Uh,
Do
do
you
you,
know you?
okay. We do have one more question to ask,
hmm
but do you think that there is an upside to grief?
um, I'm going to say that there is. For me personally, it's not for everybody, but for me, because of my line of work I was doing before, um, I was helping people, I was serving the
Yeah.
community. I
Service.
knew that I had to go back to doing that. And so then now that realm of work included other grieving moms.
Yeah.
And so, like I had mentioned, I went to a conference and a retreat, and I had takeaways from them, but they both weren't my style. I'm a mover and shaker, just like Kulten. He was just like me. And so I created my own retreat for grieving moms. So in 22, we had our first one because I created it for myself. I always tell the moms when they come, I'm like, thank you all for joining me. This was for me. I'm glad that you could join.
Thank
Great
Um,
you so
opener.
much.
yes. So I get to work with other moms who, I mean, literally on all walks of life. Their children, you just never know when or how or any of that, and they come in a way that I didn't expect. Um, I started my group and I just invited my friends who had lost previously, and then
Mhm.
that grew, and then this person referred me, and oh, Melissa can help you, and I'm just like, I can't help. Like, what do you talk? Like, what
Well,
do you
that's
mean
so
I can
powerful though.
help?
Like
That is
Melissa can help
so
you.
So
You need to
powerful.
talk to Melissa.
I'm
Like
just like,
Melissa will know what to do.
yeah, and I'm just like, okay, and
They
I think
definitely
just like,
should.
so I just feel like it grew in that capacity. So now we have 150 moms in our grieving mothers group.
Wow.
We do monthly meetups. We have our one time a year retreat, which is a safe place to come. It's not religious based. It's not based on how your child passed. It's any and all. We just come together because at the end of the day, we lost a child, and we are moms, and we know that there's a pain that comes with it, even if you had the prep. If your child
Mhm.
was sick and you knew your child was sick and you had the prep of it and the process, you still lost your child
Yeah.
and you still have grief, and
Yep.
you still need to be in a place where you can talk about it, because everyone, again, is on a different walk of life. Like, there's some
Mhm.
who can't speak freely about their child passing or about the life they lived or bring up things about their child, and we have that place. um,
Mhm.
and we also, we do, for me, I like to do things, so we're not just sitting there talking about how our child passed. We're talking about the life they lived.
Mhm.
Even if it was a short life, if it was, a stillborn. um, we talk about the pregnancy, we talk about first heartbeat, we, like
Yeah.
things like that. If it was, a medical sickness, well, let's talk about before that.
Mhm.
Um, we don't focus just on that. Like, yes, we share a little bit about it, because there are pieces of that day that maybe needs to be worked through for
Yeah.
somebody, and another mom can help give information,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
Right.
it's very helpful in that manner. um, and so in doing that also, like, because my son was so much a part of my program as well, like
Mhm.
my clients and stuff have grown to know him, and then now with his passing, they were there to support me and my family through that, and they're back now, and they have full, like, understanding and respect when I'm like, hey, you know what, I have to take this week off in April because I do a trip for my son every year for his anniversary. It's like you go and you do what you need to do. It's not like just operational based, like, wait a second,
Mhm.
you're my therapy. I'm supposed to come. Like, it's a different relationship, and I love that I have clients still that got to meet my son and see how special he is, and um you know um so I feel like the upside to grief would be that I do get to share, and it's healing for me. I always say, and I feel like I'm never going to ever heal from losing him because I have a hole in my heart, my soul. Um, but I know when I can talk to another mom and they literally are like, oh my gosh, I have not been able to talk to anybody this freely since this has happened.
Mm.
And I'm just like, oh,
Mhm.
like I'm glad I could be that person for you.
Yeah.
Like, I wish that you had more. I'm like, so then it's like, okay, buddy, like I'm doing it, like, and it is rough because, it's you uh, you talk a lot about your own experience and then that helps relate.
Mhm.
And so it is hard in that way sometimes, but then it's like I'm so glad that you were able to talk to me and
Yeah.
share and
Yeah.
understand that you're not
Mhm.
going crazy and that
Yeah.
I mean, I at a couple days after, I remember waking up and just going, "Oh my god, like I had this real dream. Like I really thought it was real and I was at the ambulance and I'm like, open it up, open it up. I want his heart. Like where did his heart go cuz he had been cremated?" And I'm like, "Where is his heart?" And I was like freaking out, but I had woken up and it was such a real dream. Like I was like searching for a number to call our friend George to ask him like what happened to his heart. Like where's his
Mm.
heart?
Mm.
And so like other moms will share like, "Oh my god, okay, I feel better that you shared that because this
Yeah.
is what I was like wanting to do." Or this is like I have my son's toothbrush still and I put it in my mouth sometimes. And I'm like, "That is not weird. Like that's your child." Like
Yeah.
and she's like, "But if I told anybody else that,
Yeah.
they would
They would think
literally
it's
be
very,
like, you
yeah.
need to go get locked up. Like you
Yeah.
need serious help right now."
Even with my dad, I've done some stuff where I know if I didn't tell the right people, they'd be like,
Right. Like,
yeah.
yeah. So that's, for me, and then
You
just
too.
being able to
I
like
might have done some weird things.
being able just to help educate others, like,
Yeah.
Mhm.
death is not something that just because the person has gone means that you don't ever talk about them again.
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
Like you can say their name, you can share a story, you can, still like
It's not a curse.
yeah,
You know
like
what
you
I
could
mean? It's
still
not like this, like,
participate with us.
Oh.
yeah.
Like you can be part of our family. Like it doesn't have to be like when you see me at the supermarket, be like, "Oh my god,"
Yeah.
And I don't always like it doesn't have to always be like a sad thing when you see me, or like like yes, it is sad because he's not here, but like we can still talk about the life he lived, or like
Mhm.
it's different. So I just feel like that is a huge thing for me, is like, okay, bud, this is what we're doing. Like, I'm going to try and do whatever I can while I'm here. And my daughters are the same way. And even my husband has had moments where he's come home from work and he's going to be like, "Babe, you're not going to believe what happened to me today at work."
Ooh.
And, he's in the plumbing aisle getting a plumbing thing that he needed for work. And a little old lady comes up and just like, starts talking to him about, "My son has cancer and I'm just trying to get a toilet seat for him because he needs a new toilet seat." And, just he's like, "Oh, well, let me help you," And so he's had moments like that where he's just like, being able to pour into somebody as well
Mhm.
without even seeking it, because, he's the let's put it away
Uh-huh.
kind of guy. So, it's those times where I'm like, "Oh, okay, like that's really great." And he's like, I kind of just told her, like just be in every moment you can. And,
Mhm.
like, and again, if you need anybody, here's my wife's card, and I'm
You
like,
need
"I
to talk to
appreciate you."
Melissa.
Yeah.
She'll know what to do.
So it's just
Awesome.
yeah, so I think that for me that's the upside to grief, like there's
Yeah.
it's very bittersweet, it's hard. You guys know, it's there's moments where you're just like, "Why is this my life?" And, there's what ifs and all of those things, but at the end of the day, it's like a cutting a piece of paper. You're never going to get it back the same. Even if you
Mhm.
tape it, you glue it, you anything, it's very real. And, fairy tales and all that stuff where they come back to life, it's not true. And,
Yeah.
if you can learn to build a different mindset around it, that's kind of what I've done. And, I take it as, okay, I'm going to live with you and for you. And, this is what I'm going to do. And taking my husband's little bit of advice that I actually agree with, it's just I'm going to do what I was doing before this happened.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. So
Thank
beautiful.
you. Thank you
Thank you.
so much for coming on and sharing Kulten with us and with everybody else. And
Yeah, that was amazing. I love that I got to learn
sounds
so
like an
much about.
amazing kid.
Yeah.
It really does.
Yeah. Yeah.
So cool.
Well, thank you guys for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. And next week, if you guys are listening and Melissa's story resonated with you, she will be coming back next week to do one of our segments with us. Melissa chose to do Grief in the Wild.
Grief in the Wild.
She's got some fun ones. So be sure to tune back in next week and hear those stories.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay. Well, take us out.
Don't forget to like, follow, share, and subscribe. And we will see you next week.
All right. See you next week.
Bye.